Hey there, what's going on? My name is Basir and in this video we are going to create a responsive side menu bar using only HTML, CSS and vanilla JavaScript. You can see that open clicking any of that, this respective link is going to be activated by adding a kind of yellow color in this bar right here at the left side. And there's also a drop down menu. You can see it also get activated by adding a kind of darkish background color, and that also here at the header you can see there is a button that open clicking that just gonna collapse like that, and it's totally responsive. You can see that it looks very nice in a mobile device as well. Okay, so it's totally hidden and open clicking that's gonna show up. All right, so without any further ado, let's dive right into it. Here I have my code data opened. I already created the HTML, the CSS and the JavaScript files. So basically just in the CSS there are a bunch of variables that we're going to be using that throughout this entire video. Just to save some time, I already wrote them right here. Okay, so in index.html, this is just a simple HTML boilerplate and nothing fancy, and I have already run that in a live server. You can see responsive side menu right here with the title, and the next thing I'm going to do is to link this with style.css file, and then right here I'm going to link this with script.js. Actually that is main.js. Okay, so this is main.js and here differ, and that's it. All right, so for the body, basically first there's going to be a header. We're going to write all the HTML tags, then once that's done we're going to go through the styling and finally the JavaScript part. Okay, so we're going to write the header. The header has just this simple header tag with this bars right here, and also the name of the user along with a simple icon from the fontawesome.com. Okay, first of all I'm going to import the font awesome. You just go to cdnjs.com, search for font awesome, and there's going to be a bunch of links right here. I'm going to use all.main.css. just click this and that's going to copy the link tag of that. Okay, so right at the top side right here I'm just going to paste it and save it. Then you can see here is the font awesome CDN, and now we can use those. So basically there's going to be first a header, and I'm also going to add an ID for that, an ID of header, and then down below right here, and this is going to be called as bars with an ID of let's call this nav toggler. And then down below right here I'm going to create another div, and within this div I'm going to create as user icon, which is user-alt, then in span and write the name John Doe. That is it. And if I just go back to responsive side menu tab, there it is. So we have created this two part, and now let's create the nav as well. Okay, so down below right here I'm going to create a nav tag with an ID of nav, and within that I'm going to add another div with a class of logo, and in here I'm going to use fa-gg-circle. Okay, so I got this logo, what you can see right here. Let me just zoom this in. So this is the logo I got from Font Awesome. I kind of like it and just picked it up and put it here. I honestly don't know this is the logo of which brand or what. So just let's say GG Corp. Okay, so this is going to be the logo, what we're going to be placing it right here at the very top, and the height of that's going to be identical to the height of the header in here as well. Okay, so then there is the actual nav links right here, which is the dashboard, income, profile and settings, and down below right here there is a sign out button or link here. Okay, so going back right here, then I'm going to create another UL with a class of nav, and then li.nav _item. I'm using BIM CSS a convention, so nav _item, and then a.nav _item -link. So this is going to be the link, which is not going to go anywhere just for now. And then fa is fa-home, and this is going to be the dashboard. I'm going to wrap this with an span. You'll get to know that why in a bit. And then what I'm going to do is just duplicate it down below, obviously 3 or 4 times. And then this is going to be for the income, which is nothing but a Bitcoin icon, and here Bitcoin, and then right here I'm going to type in income. All right, well actually this has to go on top right here, and then down below this is going to be for the profile, I believe, so user-alt, and then here this is profile, and finally this is going to be called as cogs, and this is settings. There it is. If you save it and go back, there it is. So we just created all of those, the icons and the text. And then down below right here, again, I'm gonna create another div, and actually this is not gonna be a div. I'm gonna just create this sign out button here, and then again the sign out dash alt, and then here another span, and let's call this sign out. Save it, and if I just go back, okay, so I don't have it here. Well, we're gonna be fixing this sign out alt later. All right, so that was for the HTML part of this. And now we're gonna go to the style.css. As usual, we're gonna have some basic configuration, select everything, and the before pseudo element, and similarly the after one as well. So that is it, and set a box sizing border box so the padding and the border gets included to an element's total width and height. And then we're gonna get a body and set a margin to be set to 0, and similarly set a padding to 0, and add a font family. In this case, I'm gonna add Montserrat. This is already installed on my machine, but if it is not, we're gonna use a backup font family in here, which is the Apple system right here. Okay, I just realized that wasn't added. So then right here, I'm gonna write some global styles here. This is gonna be for the UL. I'm gonna get rid of the list style type actually, and set this to be none, and get rid of the default margin and the padding. And then down below right here for the anchor tag, I'm gonna set a color. This is gonna be this kind of dark color, 3 times, and then I'm gonna also get rid of that hideous and ugly text underline as well, and set this to none. And if I just go back, you can see that now it kind of looks a little bit better. I'm gonna just zoom this out a little bit. Okay, and now the next step is that we are gonna add some stylings for the header. Okay, down below right here, there's gonna be header styles right here, and then I'm gonna get the header. So the header is gonna have a background color of this kind of background color, and then it's also gonna have a height of, let's say, from the variables, this is gonna be, actually that's the header height, I believe, yes. And then also we need to display this as flex, justify content to space between, and align items to the center. Okay, and if I just go back, you can see that the icon and this one John Doe and this part, they are just pushed in the opposite direction at the left and right side. And if I just go back right here, I can add a little bit of the padding for the left and right side to be like 1 rem, and that looks really cool. So there's a little bit of room on the left and the right side. Okay, so that's cool. We created the header section, which was this one basically. Yeah, also we need to style this as well, so that looks better. So I'm gonna go just down right here. I forgot what was the, yes, so it was called nav toggler. Okay, so within the header, there is this nav toggler. I'm gonna add a padding for this. So it's gonna be 0.25 rem from the top and bottom, and 0.35 rem. Whoops, what happened? Okay, so it's gonna be 3.5 rem. And then I'm gonna also add a background color, which is gonna be totally white, and also a box shadow for this too. In this case, it's gonna be 0.01 pixel and a kind of darkish box shadow for that. And then also need to add a little bit of the border radius for that, 0.25 rem. Let's check that out to see how's that gonna look. So it looks pretty nice. And now the next step is that we're gonna add this side menu at this part right here. All right, so we're gonna deal with this. Then here are the styles that concerns with the side nav or side menu bar, side menu styles. Here we have the nav. It's going to be positioned as fixed from the top, that's set to 0, and then from the left that's set to 0, and it's gonna have a height of 100%. You can set that to 100 vertical height as well. And then also I'm gonna add a background color that's gonna come from the variables of the, I believe that's nav BG color is the nav background color. Oh, I've already set that right here, so you can see it's a kind of light blue color there. And then what else do we have to, I just don't know, let's see. Okay, and also we need to actually push this to the opposite direction, so sign out comes right here. So I'm gonna go right at the top again and display this as flex, and then flex direction to the column, because by default it's gonna be the row flex direction. And then I'm gonna also justify the content to be a space between. Okay, so in that case you're gonna see that the height is divided equally between them, but this is not what I'm looking for. Actually, this and this one, they have to be together. Okay, so if I go to index.html, I think that I made a simple mistake, actually not a mistake. So I'm gonna go and wrap this UL, so then Command Shift and P if you're using VS Code, and then wrap them within another div. And if I just go back, you'll notice that now it looks really nice. All right, so the next step is that we're gonna add a little bit of the width for this side nav as well. I've already specified a width right here. Now you can see that it is 200 pixels, but when it's going to get collapsed, it's going to be only 80 pixels. You'll see that later on when we are going to integrate it with the JavaScript. All right, so the width right here, I'm going to get again from the variables, and it's going to be the nav width. And let's see, what else do we need? All right, then there is the logo right here. If I go to index.html, you'll notice that within this nav we have a div with the class of logo. All right, so we got to write some styles for that as well. So here is the nav and then the logo. So this is gonna have the same height, basically the height that was belonged to this header height right here. Okay, so this is the header height, and that what else is going to be displayed as flex2. Justify content to the, I believe it's flex to start here actually, and align items to the center. So I just like the displays to be at the top. And then if I just go back, now you can see it is taking the height, which is kind of identical to this header. I'm gonna again zoom this out a little bit. So this is how it's gonna look for now. All right, we're going to be adding a lot of styling, and that eventually is going to look really cool. All right, so back into here, then in index.html, you can see that here we have the class of nav, and then nav item dash link. And for now, I'm just going to get this nav item dash link. I'm just going to paste it in. I'm going to get that class, and then also the logo, and also the sign out button too. All right, so all of these are going to have this kind of color, and then they're going to be displayed as block 2, and I'm going to add a little bit of the padding between them, so there is like 1 rem of padding. And if I just go back, you can see this is how they are going to look, which kind of look really nice. I'm going to bump up his font size too, so the font size is a little bit bigger than what it is right now, so it's 1.25 rem. All right, so now they look cool, and now we need to add a little bit of a space between this text and also this icon right here. So I'm just going to go back here and then just literally grab all of these, copy them, and then right here paste it back again. And if I go back into index.html, just a simple reminder in here, you can see that the logo, well, this has to be wrapped within another span. Just wrap it within another span, and then you can see that all of those texts are wrapped within a span tag, and similarly for the sign out. So basically I'm gonna use that, and I'm gonna add it right here for all of these, and then I'm gonna set a margin left of like, let's say 0.5 rem. And then if I just go back, it kind of looks cool, except for the logo right here. Actually for that, I'm gonna do just go right the header here, and then let's say if I just go down, let me actually see where and how is the structure, excuse me, yeah. So there is the logo, and actually this down right here. Okay, so we got the nav logo, and within that there is a span which is going to have a margin left of like, let's say 1 rem. And then if I just go back, this is how it's all going to look, and it looks really nice. And now we need to also position the bar icon in here as well, so that's just hidden right behind this in here somewhere here. Okay, so I'm going to just go back in here and then find the header, which right here. I'm gonna add a padding left. Okay, so I'm gonna choose from the variable, which is gonna be this nav width right here. And if I just go back, you can see that it appeared right here, but I'm gonna actually first do one more thing. I'm gonna go right here and bump up his font size. It kind of looked a little bit hideous, so there it is. And I'm gonna use the calc function of the CSS just to add a little bit more spacing between them. So in this case, +1 rem, and now it's positioned very nice way. All right, so now that we have added it, then let's just also add the logo of the sign out. All right, so I just realized that the logo of sign out, yeah, I forgot to add this fa-sign out-alt here. Okay, now if I just go back, now you can see that the logo is retained back again. and we are back on track doing with the rest of the application. And now we want to write basically a little bit of the JavaScript so that open clicking this side nav is going to collapse, as you saw already in the demo right here. You can see that gets collapsed and it's kind of looking really nice. Okay, so I'm just gonna go first and grab the header, and then followed by that I'm also gonna get this nav toggler and also this nav right here. So I'm just gonna copy them and go to main.js, and then in here I'm gonna paste all of that. Let's actually grab all three of these. All right, so then right here I'm gonna say that document.getElement by ID, and then let's just wrap all of this within these quotes right there. And there's an extra space between this here, so I'm gonna get rid of that. It's the header, and then this is gonna be called as nav toggler here. Why am I getting, yeah, okay, so I misspelled this. Now it should be fixed. There it is. And finally this is going to be called as nav. And now what we're going to do is that we're going to write a function that open clicking this nav toggler, the sidebar is going to collapse. Okay, so nav toggler dot add event listener, open clicking on that here. So this is hooking a function, open click, and what this is going to do is that it's going to decrease its width. But before that we need to write a little bit of styling for the JavaScript classes here. Okay, so I'm going to call this as JS classes right here, and we are going to be adding it along the way when we are writing some JavaScript classes. Okay, so the first one is going to be called collapse, and the width of that is going to be again from the variables and nav collapse width. All right, so if I just go up a little bit, you can see that the collapse width, it is 80 pixels. Okay, so it's going to just decrease from 200 pixels to 80 pixels. And if I just go back into main.js file, so first of all I'm going to get this dot classlist.toggle, and then add if a dash times. I'm just going to basically change that bar to a cross sign, and then it's going to get the nav, and then add a class and toggle the class of collapse here. So just save it, and then if I just go back and click on this, you can now see that it is basically collapsed, but the text are overflowing and it's not showing really nice at all. We're going to be fixing all of those one by one. Okay, so I'm going to go just back into here in style.css. Then we're going to get this one right here, white space to no wrap basically. And then once that is done, then going all the way down up until here. So once we added the class of collapse, we want all this span to be displayed as none as well. So now you can see that you can click on that, and this is working really nice. Okay, and also we need to position these as well, so they are in the center. You can add a align items center too. That's gonna position it really nice, but for now I'm just gonna add this margin left a little bit, so this like 0.5 rem. And if I just go back and click on it again, and now you can see this kind of looks really cool. All right, and now the next step is that we're gonna animate it a little bit and also fix the positioning of this one too, so it just goes right here. Okay, as this is decreasing, as you can see from the demo, that the position of this is going to vary depending on the status or the class added to this. So if it is collapsed, then this is going to go all the way to this side. Okay, so back into VS Code editor right here, I'm going to write one more class right here. It's going to be collapse header. All right, I'm not good at naming. So collapse header is basically going to add a padding of left for the header, and it's again going to add from the variables, which is nav collapse width. Okay, and then back into here main.js, then going to get the header, and then .classlist.toggle the class of collapse dash header, and then set that. If I go back into style.css, make sure that the class is right, so that's collapse header. Yes, it is. And then if I just go back and click on it, you can see that it just goes on the left side, but I forgot to actually go back into style.css and add a little bit of more spacing too. Okay, so in this case I'm going to use the call function back again with 1 rem space, and now you can see its position very nice at the right place. And adding a little bit of animation, we also need to go to here and then say the transition for the width, whoops, it's going to be like 0.3 seconds with literally 300 milliseconds, and then up above until here I'm going to also add a little bit of transition for this one too, transition, and then for the padding lift it's going to be 0.3 seconds, ease in and out. Actually, I'm just going to go down below right here and decrease this to 200 milliseconds rather than 300. I believe that's going to look cool. Okay, now you can see that this is looking really nice. Yeah. Okay, and then now let's also work on its mobile size as well. So this is basically how is this gonna look in a mobile device. Alright, so now I'm gonna go into a style.css file down below right here and add another media query, media screen, and maximum width and 768 pixels. Alright, so then for the nav, basically at first it's gonna have a width of 0 pixels and set the overflow back to heading. There it is. And now if I just go back here and click that and click back and forth, you can see this is how it is gonna look. And we also need to fix the position of this one as well. So basically at first the header, its padding lift is going to be again from the variable of nav collapse width. I think I'm gonna have to use calc back again. No, actually not. Rather, initially this should have only one rem of space. So this is it. And now if I just click that again, this is how it is gonna look. And now you can see if I click that, the text shows up and it's like a portion of a second, but you can see that the text is still in there. And just to get rid of that, what you can do basically is that get all those spans back again from here. So I'm going to just copy that out and paste it right here, and actually I'm going to place this header right at the very top in here so the CSS classes are organized. And then right here I'm going to set a display to none. That is it. And if I just go back and click on it, now you can see that this is kind of looking really cool. So I'm going to just again increase this up like that. So this is how it is going to look in a desktop device. And now let's deal with the rest of the application. Okay, so what are lift? Let's just do a pretty quick overview. First, we need to add a active class to all of these. So you can see that open clicking any of these, it gets activated. And also we need to add these submenu links in here as well. Okay, so we're going to do all of those one by one. So back into main.js file, I'm gonna first get all of the nav links as well. So nav links is document.query select for all. In this case, the name of that was nav_item -link. Okay, so these are all the nav links. And now what I need to do is to just copy that out and then right here, whoops, I just didn't paste it. Okay, let's write it. And then for each of that link, I'm gonna run a function. It's gonna be this row function, and then we're gonna hook an event listener for that. So when it is clicked, open that, then we're gonna say this dot class list dot toggle the class of active. Okay, so as I said earlier, as we are writing JavaScript, we're gonna add their styles too. Okay, so we haven't yet added the class of active, but what the class of active is basically going to do is just going to add a color of yellow. Let's see, this is the JS classes that's going to be added, and then here, actually what is the name? Active, and then the color of that, again from the variable, is going to be active color, I believe. And then I'm also going to add a background color for that, again with the alpha here, and set this to 0.3, and then just save it. And now if I just go back and click on any of those, now you can see that the active class is being added to that. But the problem is that we want only one of these links to be active at a time. Okay, not all of them. So what we can do basically is just go back into main.js and right in here, before adding the active class, what you're going to do is just do a quick check on all of these nav links. Again, I'm going to write this for each function right here and check if l.classlist.contains if it contains an active of class, then what we're going to do is basically remove that. Okay, so remove the class of active and then save it, and this should basically do the job. And now if I just go back and click on income and then dashboard and profile and setting, now you can see only one of that is active at a time. And I'm not going to add an active class for the sign out icon right here, because basically I believe that this is not going to remain active. You're going to click on that, and in a real world application, this is just going to sign you out and redirect you to another page. So basically, yeah, that's going to stay like that, similarly the logo. And now what we also need to add is just a bar right here at the very left side. Okay, so I'm just going to go back in here and the style.css all the way down up until here. This is the active. And then I'm also going to add a position of, relative for this too. And then there's the active class. I'm going to add the before pseudo element right here. The content is going to be just nothing for now. And then it's going to be positioned, positioned as absolute. And then from the top, that's set to 0. And from the left, that's set to 0. And from the bottom, this is also going to be set to 0. It's going to have a height of, let's say, 25 pixels. And then also I'm going to add a width of, like, let's say 3 pixels, and then a background color again from the variable. This is going to be the active color right there. All right, then if I just go back, now you can see, that's at the top side. Actually need to add a margin, so it is auto from top and bottom and 0. So now it should be at the center. There it is. So now you can see, open clicking any of that, its respective link is going to be activated just like that. And it's going to look the same in smaller and collapsed side menu bar as well. All right, so this is really cool. And now the next step is that we're going to add a drop-down menu for this dashboard section right here. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to go to index.html, add all the necessary tags for that too. So in here, in the dashboard, I'm going to write i.face.fa dash, it's going to be a angle down or carried down. I'm going to choose angle down. That's a beta one. And then down below right here, I'm going to add another UL with an li and then a. And it's going to be basically link 1, nothing really fancy, just don't want to waste time thinking what names do we have to choose. So it's just link 1, link 2, and link 3. And just save it, and if I just go back, you can see this is how it's going to look. It looks pretty hideous right here, but we're going to be fixing that in a little bit. So back into style.css, right in here, those are the links, and the unordered list is coming right after the anchor tag with the class of nav item link. So I'm just going to copy this out, just copy it, and then down below right here, I believe, so just paste it in, and then I'm going to say the UL which is coming afterward that, then I'm going to get the A from there too, and then set the color of that. So no, I'm not going to mess with the color, actually add a bit of padding for that, like 1 rem, and since it is inline, so I'm going to set this to be block as well. So 1 rem, and then I'm also going to add a background color for that too. So I'm not sure what background color is going to look good for this. So this is it, and if I just go back, you can see that it's being added right in here. And now, okay, let's just add a little bit of box shadow for this overall nav, so it looks a bit beta. So I'm just going to go all the way up until here. Okay, so I'm going to add a box shadow. It's only 2 pixels, and then I'm going to add the color of that. And now you can see that this color is appearing right at the left side of that, and it's kind of looking cool. And then back into here, where was I? Yeah, I need to go to index.html, and then within the UL, I'm going to add another utility class and call that as dnone. So dnone, basically this is going to display it as none, and style.css, I'm just going to go all the way down up until the JS classes section, which I'll just add it right here. So dnone is just going to display it as none. That is all it's going to do. And then in main.js, if I just go back, you can see that it is totally hidden and open clicking, that's not going to show up. So basically right here in main.js, at this place, actually it's going to add the class of active, and right here, I'm going to get the next element that's coming right after that. Okay, as you can see from the index.html, this the next element sibling which is going to come after the A or the anchor tag. So in main.js, what I'm going to do is just get that submenu. I'm going to call that submenu, and then it's going to be this dot next element sibling, I hope this is gonna work. And if submenu, if it does exist, then I'm gonna say submenu.classlist.toggle the class of d-none. Okay, so if I just go back and click on that, you can see that now we have a working drop-down menu right here, and it is really looking very nice. And then if I just collapse that, okay, so we can see that whenever it gets collapsed, the links are a little bit bigger. Okay, so we need to actually decrease the font size of that as well. So I'm gonna go just up until here. This is the collapse section. Well, I really don't know whether do we have to do it. Well, let's just add it. Collapse, and then I'm just gonna go all the way up until here. So just copy everything we have and then just paste it. Whoops, what happened? Let's just paste it right here. Actually, we can get rid of that, and then add a font size, let's say 8.5 rem. And if I just go back, you can see that the font size is just a little bit decreased. If I just comment this out, you can see this is how it is going to look. This is very big. And then if I just go back and comment this out and go back, you can see that it's now shrinked down. It's going to look really cool. All right, so yeah, that's it. That way it's going to look good in a mobile device as well. So there it is in a mobile device. Yeah, obviously, yeah, I just noticed a weird thing again. I'm just going to go back, and right here you need to add the white space to be no wrap basically. So just save it, and if I just go back and click that back again, now it's working nice. Okay, cool. There are a lot of things to take care of. All right, so this is it. And as a final step, you can see from the demo that all of these links are working, and open clicking that's going to get activated. So now we're going to mimic the very same thing what we did in our demo. I'm just going to add one additional class right here to uniquely identify all of these. I'm going to call these as submenu or sublink. Okay, let's call them as sublink with underscore. Never mind. Okay, so sublink, and then in main.js, I'm going to go and grab all the sub links here. This document dot query select row all, and then sub underscore link. Save it, and then just copy this out. Just go all the way down up until here, paste it, and then again loop through every single one of that, and then check again. I'm gonna write this function here. Whoops. And then link.add event listener. Again, I'm gonna listen to click event and hook this arrow function when the user is gonna click on that. So when it gets clicked, then link.classlist.toggle, and we're gonna add a class called that, let's say active sub link. Okay, and then let's just copy this. We haven't yet added this class, so basically in style.css, I'm just gonna go up until here, and there it is. So down below, let's just paste it, and then add a background color for that. So basically this is going to be just a kind of darkish color that open clicking that this background color is going to be applied to it. So let's see, it is not working. We got inspected, we have no error in the console, but you can see active sublink is being added in here. And the background color, for some reasons, it is overwritten. If I just go back right here and add this important, and then let's just get rid of this, and now it should work, I believe. Yeah, it is working now. But there has to be a way without adding this important section. I believe this is something with specificity that's wrong with that. Active sublink is going to be added to these right here. So this way, actually what I can do is just kind of copy this out of there, copy it, and down below right here, I'm just going to paste it in and just save it. And if I just go back and click there, again, we are not getting that. No, actually, we don't need the collapse here. And then go back, yeah, it is working. Okay, so the reason why it was not working, but it was able to work with that important, the reason was that specificity. Okay, so basically the specificity of this one right here, not this collapse, this one, it was greater than that, and that was the reason why it was not working. And now that we are more specific, now it is working really nice. And there is one more problem. As you noticed earlier, you can see that clicking link to is going to activate all of those at a time, and that's not going to happen in a real world application. So back again right here, I'm just going to go get all the sublinks, and then I'm going to say for each L, and then l.classlist.remove the class of active-sub-link. And there it is. So it's just going to remove the active sublink from there if it does exist. And if I just go back and click on this, let's see. Now you can add only one active class at a time for all of those. And then there is one more step we can do just to make our code a little bit better, and that is to create another function just for this nav toggler right here. So you can see that open clicking this, there are going to be a bunch of things that are going to trigger at the same time, and what we can do is to encapsulate all of those within another function, so our code is much good. Okay, so when let's say I'm going to explain them one by one. So when I click on this, the first thing that's going to happen is this is going to be changed to a cross, and the second thing is going to happen is that this side menu, what you can see right here, this is going to collapse, and the third thing what's going to happen is that this header is going to decrease its padding left, and all three things are happening at the same time. And what we can do right here in the JavaScript section is that encapsulate all of those three things within another function, and that way our code is a little bit more clean. So right here, let's create a function, and basically these two things, they doesn't belong to this. So I'm going to create a function, and let's say collapse underscore nav. We're really not sure, so I'm going to call this hit, and then toggler, and then navbar. Let's just call that as navbar, or let's actually call this as side nav here. All right, and then just move all of these within this function, and then I'm gonna call this function collapse nav with the ID of header. So these arguments has to match. Okay, this is the header, and then we're gonna say nav toggler, and then the last one is gonna be called as nav. Okay, just have to wrap this within quote as well. And then right here, now I need to actually get rid of this header and replace this with hit. Okay, get rid of that too. And then down below right here, this is for the toggler, so I'm gonna get that as well. And this last one is gonna be for side nav. There it is. So just save it, and now I hope there are no errors. Okay, so now we just encapsulate all of these within another function, and now the code is looking much more nice and more meaningful, by the way. All right, so if I just go back and click on this, you can see that it is still working. And yeah, basically need to close this off. And then if I just put this in here, this is for a mobile device, you click on that, and yeah, everything is working really nice. And last thing what we can do is go to index.html, choose any of these. It could be, let's say, profile, and then right here I'm gonna add another class called as active. So when for the first time it gets loaded, so there is always an active link there. And then I'm just gonna maximize that and click on any of these right here, and just decrease this down and click it back again. Yeah, this kind of looks really cool. Alright, so that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell notification for more such videos like this. And thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.